Pastoral visit to Gaza by the Patriarch of Jerusalem of the Latins, His Beatitude Archbishop Pierbattista Pizzaballa. During his visit to Christian families and the sick, he assured moral and material support. As every year, the feast of St. Anthony, patron of the custody of the Holy Land, was also celebrated in Jerusalem. Our patron, underlined Br Francesco Patton, is a beautiful example of what it means to incarnate the mission mandate entrusted by Jesus to the apostles with the words, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature." The Salesians, present in the Holy Land for over 100 years, carry out many social activities. On Saturday the 12th of June, 14 new deacons were ordained in the Basilica of Gethsemane. With the end of the school year, the nursery schools of the Terra schools in Bethlehem, Jerusalem and Beit Hanina also handed out diplomas to their youngest children in the presence of their parents. In the city of Beersheba in the Negev desert, there is one of the places that reminds us of Abraham, patriarch of the three monotheistic religions.
La prima impressione che mi ha colpito molto è quando praticamente tutti.
My first impression, what struck me very much, is when practically everybody told me not only to think about the material destruction, but also about the consequences on people. When they told me we are people, we are human beings, and not only numbers of injured, dead or alive or survivors or a budget or reconstruction projects, this struck me very much.
Budget per progetti di ricostruzione. Questo mi ha colpito molto.
The Patriarch of Jerusalem of the Latins paid a pastoral visit and support to local Christians to Gaza in recent days. Pierbattista Pizzaballa expressed words of emotion for the people of Gaza wounded in the latest war. According to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, more than 52,000 Palestinians have been displaced, most of whom are now sheltering in schools run by the international organization in Gaza. I am 25 years old and I was terrified and scared. I saw death with my own eyes. We evacuated our house twice because of the proximity of the attacks. The situation was very difficult and frankly today I'm thinking of emigrating since there are no longer the security conditions to stay here. The church is trying hard to provide job opportunities for young people so that they can build a life and a future here.
The Latin Patriarchate engaged in this major job creation project in the year 2018, and it started with a relatively modest program of about 10 employees and gradually increased to 20, 30, 40, and now we have 65 youth, in particular in Gaza, that are employed through the job creation project.
The Church's efforts are not only limited to providing employment opportunities for young people, but also include moral and material support.
Abbiamo individuato 35 famiglie cristiane che hanno bisogno.
We have identified 35 Christian families who need help and who will be supported by the Latin Patriarchate, in whole or in part, depending on the situation. We also wanted to provide further facilities for students in our schools, all students, not only Christians, but also Muslims. I must add that the appeal I made to our community, to our diocese, to support the community of Gaza has had a positive result. From the areas of Palestine and Israel alone, more than $60,000 have arrived.
Palestina ed Israele sono arrivate oltre 60.000.
Archbishop Pizzaballa's visit helped to encourage the parishioners as he not only visited poor and marginalized families and the sick, but also gave them hope and confidence despite the siege and oppression.
Ai nostri cristiani devo dire innanzitutto non siete soli.
To our Christians I say first of all, you are not alone. We are here, that is why we have come, to express our closeness in concrete terms. Secondly, do not lose courage. I have noticed fatigue. The wounds of the war are still open, especially the psychological ones. I have noticed that the word trauma is used very often, something I did not hear before. A very strong trauma, so don't lose courage, don't lose hope.
Non perdere la speranza.
In Lisbon, Padua in Italy, and all over the world, the 13th of June is the feast day of St. Anthony. As every year, the feast was also celebrated at St. Saviour's Convent in Jerusalem, since the custody of the Holy Land has St. Anthony as its patron saint. We know very well that St. Anthony is one of the best-known saints in the world, and so far he is the first to be canonized within a year of his death. This alone explains his exceptional nature, and it is no wonder that the friars of the custody, in the midst of the troubles and problems that arose during the First World War, invoked him as their patron saint, as the one who can help in the midst of trouble. The Mass in the Church of St. Saviour was presided over by Br Francesco Patton, Custos of the Holy Land. The celebration was attended by His Beatitude Monsignor Pierbattista Pizzaballa, Patriarch of Jerusalem of the Latins, together with Monsignor Giacinto Marcuzzo. Representatives of the Jerusalem churches were also present, as well as Giuseppe Fedele, Consul General of Italy in Jerusalem. Pope Gregory IX in 1228 called St. Anthony Ark of the Testament and Doctor of the Church because of his knowledge and love of the Holy Scriptures. The theme of the homily of the Custos of the Holy Land was St. Anthony, distinguished preacher and intercessor in need. During this last very difficult year of pandemic and tensions, continued Brother Patton, we friars of the custody have strongly felt the intercession of St. Anthony. We have entrusted ourselves to him in a special way. We can say that our patron is a beautiful example of what it means to incarnate the missionary mandate entrusted by Jesus to the apostles with the words, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature." Our preaching must be the preaching of the apostles, a crown of 12 stars to which nothing must be added or taken away. We must preach the faith and the gospel in its entirety, without reducing or watering it down, without wanting it to become fashionable. Another aspect of St. Anthony's preaching is that of life and the word, and also that of clarity. We have always invoked him, and he became our patron 101 years ago at a very difficult time for the custody. This year we have invoked him every day to help us and protect us from the pandemic. But in times of difficulty, St. Anthony is precious not only because he protects us as an intercessor and as a saint, but also because he helps us to live our experiences of difficulty and suffering in a Christian way. Popular devotion manifests itself in various ways, such as in the tradition of St. Anthony's bread, which recalls his love for the poorest, and the miracle of the multiplication of the loaves attributed to him, but also by expressing love for the saint in the most affectionate way, a gesture taken very seriously by this little devotee. In addition to participating in the prayer, the Christian community expresses its friendship and appreciation to the Franciscans of the Holy Land. I thank the custody, the Father Custos, and all the Franciscans who, as they do every year on the feast of St. Anthony of Padua, have invited Archbishop Yasser al-Ayyash, Patriarchal Vicar of our Melkite Church, who could not be present here in Jerusalem because he is in Jordan. Today I represent him and the whole Melkite Catholic Church in expressing our love for this sister church, Franciscan, Latin, and for this parish that has St. Anthony as its patron. St. Anthony is not only the patron of the parish, but he is the patron of the whole province of the Holy Land. I have a great devotion, a great love for this saint. I wish you all the best, so that through the intercession of St. Anthony, you may receive a special blessing. Salesian Feast in the Holy Land. In the Basilica of Gethsemane, in the presence of numerous local religious and Christians, the diaconal ordination of 14 seminarians of different nationalities took place. This celebration was presided over by His Beatitude Monsignor Pierbattista Pizzaballa, who underlined the mission of the Salesians in the Holy Land. Here in the Holy Land, the Salesians have an important tradition. They were among the first to have professional schools that trained generations of Palestinian Christians and others in the various professions. Even today, they are still an important presence for professional schools, for youth, for service to migrants. After passing through the training stage came one of the most eagerly awaited moments, diaconal ordination.
Yeah, you know that they have a long years of formation, and the long years of formation is something like 6 years of training as religious Salesians. Also, they take up to become priests in the church. So it requires almost 6 to 8 years in order to reach this stage of becoming deacons.
This is the Holy Land, and many people want to be ordained here. And it's really, for me, we have to thank God so much because the big grace He grants us for the ordained as the deacons here in Holy Land, especially in the Gethsemane like this.
To serve. This verb well defines the mission of deacons in the church. And even here in the Holy Land, these newly ordained deacons are doing fine social work.
Our brothers have been with young people, children from 4 years old up to 12 or even 15, 16 years old. But several of them, they go to centers where our caregivers have Eucharist. And there they animate them for catechism, help them for the liturgy, help them for singing.
I have been in 3 realities. The first was in a Filipino group that celebrated Mass in our house on Saturday evenings. I'm currently assigned to the pastoral community Our Lady Human of Valor in Tel Aviv, also in the pastoral care of migrants, especially Filipinos. Last year I was at the Salesian Sisters Oratory in Cremizan, Daughters of Mary, Help of Christians. Service, mission, solidarity and joy. These are some of the words that represent the Salesian congregation founded by the Italian saint Don Bosco, and which here in the Holy Land today celebrates the vocation of these new deacons. Joy mingled with serenity and innocence in the 2 ceremonies to award diplomas to the children of the Terra Sancta schools in Bethlehem, Jerusalem and Beit Hanina.
This year we had to overcome many challenges due to the absence of the children, absence that we have tried to repair with online teaching. However, I think we have not lost anything this year in preparing them for the first grade.
The coronavirus has changed our planet, but not us. Even during the time of coronavirus,
The graduation ceremony took place on the 7th of June in Bethlehem in the presence of the parents. It began with the children entering the Millennium Hall, newly reopened after renovations, and their words of thanks to their parents and teachers. The event then ended with some singing and dancing and the viewing of the video to the tune of the song Jerusalema.
Dancing to the song Jerusalema was Brother Ibrahim's idea. It was an idea that united the children of the schools in Beit Hanina, Jerusalem, and Bethlehem.
The Franciscans take care of the students from the age of 3 until the end of university. We also offer scholarships. I am also a child of the Terra Sancta school. This school has formed my character. I also graduated from this school, and today it is my son's turn. From generation to generation, we grow up in this wonderful school with which we have an emotional and academic relationship.
This day will remain in our minds even 20 years down the line. We all remember this day, thanks of course to the commitment of the teachers. We cannot describe our joy.
An important ceremony that conveys ambition, love and sowing wishes for a future life to the children.
When I get bigger, I'm going to be a manicure girl and a doctor girl.
On the 12th of June, a ceremony was held for the children of the Holy Land schools of Jerusalem and Beit Hanina in the Notre Dame auditorium. There were dance performances, recitation of poems, songs, theatrical performances and speeches in Arabic, English and Italian. In his speech, Brother Faltas congratulated the children and their parents on obtaining their diplomas and moving on to the first grade.
I'm happy to go to first grade. I graduated and finished kindergarten.
The Franciscan order, wherever it is in the Holy Land, has over the centuries planted the seeds of science, knowledge, love and peace in the education of future generations, from Galilee to Bethlehem.
Can you imagine Bethlehem without Terra Santa? No, a big no.
The book of Genesis tells us that Abraham went to complain to Abimelech about a well that his men had taken from him by force. According to the scriptures, Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, with whom he made a deal. "You will accept these 7 sheep from my hands," said Abraham, "as a testimony that it is I who dug this well." We head towards the south of Israel, to one of the places that preserve the memory of Abraham. We are in Beersheba, also known as Beersheba, whose name in Hebrew means well of 7, in memory of the 7 sheep that Abraham gave to Abimelech as the price to buy the well. Beersheba, the capital of the Negev, is the 4th largest city in the Holy Land. With about 220 residents, it is also the 7th most populous city in the country and the 2nd largest in terms of area. We arrive at the Abraham's Well International Visitors Center, which tells the story of Abraham in an interactive way. The ceiling reminds us of God's promise to the Patriarch, "Look up into the sky and count the stars, if you can count them. Such will be your descendants." On the walls are biblical passages in English and Hebrew referring to the Patriarch, and the audio narration leads us to imagine the dialogue between God and Abraham. At one point, with the help of giant screen, you can experience walking in the desert together with the people of the time.
Of the soul, in search of the well containing the water of life. You will come to...
In 2013, the new center was opened. We decided that the theme of our father Abraham was important. That is why we built a center in which we show a film and which offers orientation elements, so that the tradition of our father Abraham can be passed on to all religions.
After the desert walk experience, the visitor is taken to a 3-dimensional video of about 15 minutes on the Patriarch.
We all know that our father Abraham is a very important person, and he is the father of the monotheistic religions. But beyond the religious story we tell about him, we also want to talk about his qualities, because he possessed many of them. Values in which we and our traditions have grown, such as bringing peace, hospitality, and pursuing justice. All these values are important to us in our daily lives, and we try to live by them. This is what we want, for the person to come out of this experience with a message for themselves. How do they want to live? And how do they relate to all this? And where do they fit as individuals into this great story?
At the end of the video, behind the screen, a surprise. A well appears. The clues say that this is the well that Abraham claimed in his meeting with Abimelech. But the only certainty is that those who come here have the opportunity to learn more about the history of the Patriarch.
The well has passed through the traditions of the nomadic tribes over time. They say that there is a stone inside the well, indicating that this is the well of our father Abraham.
It is exciting to think that the Patriarch passed through this region and lived in this land for some time. As it is written in the book of Genesis, then Abraham returned to his servants. Together they set out for Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt in Beersheba. To remember the life of Abraham is to walk a journey of faith guided by the words and promises that God assures to keep.